Let's move to the other big story that we've been tracking. Vijay Mallya, in an affidavit to the Supreme Court, has said that his overseas assets aggregate about 780 crore rupees. However, he adds that banks have no claim on the overseas assets as they were not part of the restructuring process. Mallya has also stressed that he's not a willful defaulter as he lost all his investments in Kingfisher Airlines. To discuss that further, we're now joined by Ramesh Vaidyanathan, the founder and managing partner of Advaya Legal. Ramesh, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. So Vijay Mallya telling the court that because he is an NRI, he is under no obligation to disclose his overseas assets. He will do so if the court insists, in a sealed envelope to the court, but he's given an aggregate value of 780 crores, which is what he claims amounts to as far as his overseas assets are concerned. Do you believe that this legal argument of Mallya will carry weight?
I feel it's a highly technical argument, and I don't think it will fly. See, the question before the Supreme Court is about credibility now. They have told him that if you want to be treated as a good boy, disclose to us some bona fide, which is put some money on the table, and then we will talk. We will not treat you as somebody who needs, better treatment if you don't prove that you have money on the table. So I feel if you have given personal guarantees, what immunity do you enjoy just because your assets are overseas? And it's well within the rights of the lenders to insist that if they need to know, for example, if he has transferred his assets to his family. And so therefore, the disclosure of the assets of the family is very relevant for the purpose of determining whether there's been a transfer to defraud the creditors. So I feel it's a technical argument which may not fly in my view.
Okay, you were talking about the bona fides that Vijay Mallya has to prove before the court. He's now suggested in that affidavit that he's willing to pay 1,591 crores, but that's also caveated or conditional, because that essentially means that he would like the court then to take over all the other matters that are stuck with the DRT, for instance, and the Supreme Court then takes over the entire course of the proceedings. Do you believe that that will fly?
No, that will not fly either. Because ultimately you can't have one particular borrower either being persecuted or being given a direct access to the Supreme Court. Ultimately, the trial process will have to happen. In my view, what they may assure him is a fast-track DRT process, which is well within the powers of the Supreme Court. What they may also allow him is perhaps some kind of an immunity from arrest, so long as he presents himself before Indian authorities for investigation.
How crucial will that be? Because we've also now staring at the possibility of a revocation of his passport, because the time period that was given by the Ministry of External Affairs for Mallya to justify why his passport should not be unilaterally revoked expires tomorrow. He was given a 4-week window, but the justification period of 1 week expires tomorrow. So do you believe that there is now recourse for Mallya not to show up here?
I think I feel he'll still hold out. I am not too sure he will make an immediate plan to arrive in India, because it's just too risky. I think he'll still want to see how things play out before the Supreme Court. Passport may very well get revoked tomorrow. But if the Supreme Court really is with him in terms of at least giving him a fair hearing and a fair opportunity at a fair trial, I think reviving the passport is not really such a big deal. I think they can always give him that as a freebie at some point. But I'm a little concerned that his bona fides may not really be appreciated by the Supreme Court, and people will say, and court may say, let's see the money first before we really look at all your caveats and things like that. I don't think they're going to accept any conditionalities prior to the money coming into the court.
Yeah, well, that's something that we will have to wait to see. The decision is going to be taken by the Supreme Court, that affidavit being submitted by Vijay Mallya to the Supreme Court today. But Ramesh, it's been a pleasure speaking with you here on WhatsApp. Thanks very much, as always, for joining us.